Hello and welcome to an unexpected part 3 of SE6 The Knife end credits scene. As I was putting my SE4 in my backpack, I realized I do have my on-the-go sharpening kit with me, and I didn't show that. That just didn't make any sense to me. So here it is. Everything I have in here. I also mentioned the steel from CKC Knives. Things changed, but it's basically the same setup I had when I presented this. This is the steel from CKC Knives. It's great. This does not remove any metal. And you know, I also have the DC4. I have a Gerber vise here. Some bits for my folders, and they're also good for the handle screws on handle scale screws on the SE6. And I do have my small strop. Now this is just a small homemade strop, a piece of leather and white stropping compound from Bark River. I think that the white stropping compound is the best. The black one is too coarse. The green one, I don't know, I just don't get along to it. Doesn't seem sticky enough. And this one, once you work it in the leather, I think it cuts metal very well. I'm not sure about the grit. Somebody said 12,000. Couldn't really say, but very easy. Now you can maintain this is also sharpening, because this does remove metal. I also say this is maintaining an edge sharp, because it removes very little metal, but this is sharpening. This does remove metal. That's why it's black right now. Steel particles. Now the first thing you want to do is clean up your edge. As you work with it, it has some wood pieces on it. I don't know if you can see them. And just wiping it on your pants does not work. They're still there. So what you want, clean piece of wood, and you just cut into it. That takes care of all that sap and those small pieces of wood. You can of course just spit on your blade and wipe it on a reinforced part of your trousers, or use a rag, but this works very well. And you're gonna have a clean piece of wood out here. Make one. Okay, so just make sure you get all the gunk off. Why? You just don't want it on your strop. All right. To get the very apex, if you're into micro bevels and you just want to steel your micro bevel, or just sharpen your micro bevel, you can just cut into a clean piece of wood like this, and they're pretty safe. Finding the edge angle. I noticed a lot of people have problems with this. How do you find your edge angle? Well, you have a planed out piece of wood, lay the blade flat on it, start lifting the spine and moving it forward. And when it stops, that's where your edge is. And keep this angle while stropping the blade. Here, I can see it shaving off the wood. See that? That's just wood dust from the backside of my strop. It's that easy. For me, this works very well. You know, show and tell, that's how I learn. That's how I prefer to learn, and it's just very easy. You don't need to overcomplicate things. Keep the same edge angle. Mind your fingers, especially if you're gonna start like this. Just mind your fingers, grab it as far as you can. Not a bad idea to use gloves, by the way. I've cut myself. I gave myself small cuts on my fingers while stropping, especially hatchets. I do sharpen them and strop. I don't know why. So pay attention. And then you can overstrop. You know, if this is your edge angle, you can tilt the blade too much and overstrop, creating a micro bevel. It's not that big of a deal. If you do this on a diamond stone, yes, it might be. That's gonna cut much faster. But this, the white compound from Bark River, I prefer it. Maybe there are better ones out there. I don't know. This is the one I have for years and years. I've been using this. It just does a great job. I know my edge angle. I don't need to check it and recheck it. How many times, how many passes you do, that's up to you. 1, 2, or 3 passes per side should be enough. But you can do more. Doesn't matter. This is how I get my shiny edges on steel that is less abrasion resistant, like 1095. That's how I got my mirror polish edge on my SE4. I just strop the knife. Why? It does relax me. At home I have a bigger strop and I'll sometimes just do that for no practical reasons. Just the fact that I like to have a very nice, shiny, sharp edge. Okay? And like I said, you can't overstrop it, raise the spine too much and maybe create a small micro bevel. For something like this, I would call this a wood splitting, wood chopping knife. It's not going to make that much of a difference. I'd rather have a very sharp edge. Now, how sharp of an edge do you need? Does an edge like this need to shave so you can work with it? No. If it slices paper, it's good enough. Will you feel an improvement between it slicing paper and it shaving in the way it cuts wood? Yeah, you might. Do you actually need it? No. Is less than slicing paper okay? It might be. However, once you get to a certain point of it being dull, it does become dangerous. A sharp blade is a safe blade. Okay, so if you always respect it, because I know it's sharp, I'm gonna mind my fingers. I don't, I'll just slice a small part of my finger off and it'll bleed and I have to bandage it up, so sharp blade is a safe blade. It won't hang in cuts and then suddenly release and cut somebody or yourself. So yeah, I do like to maintain my tools. Not all tools require round-the-clock maintenance. Some people don't, but I do maintain my knives sharp. This is more than enough what I did here. Okay, but I just want to be sure that I show you that just through stropping I can get an edge back to this edge, back to shaving sharp. Here, let's see. Main contact area is always this part. The tip not so much, the base not so much here. So and I'm not pushing on the skin. I mean, any knife, even if it's a bit dull, will rip out here. But now this is actually shaving sharp. It's not that big of a deal. You don't need to do it. It does not need to be. It doesn't need this level of maintenance. It didn't get this level of maintenance. Most times it doesn't. One more thing I wanted to mention is sitting with something as big as the SE6 on your belt. Sometimes when it's wet outside and I'll kneel down or sit down on something, on a log, the sheath will bury itself in the ground. And it has this draining hole right here, which will get gunked up with mud and pieces of wood, whatever. Cleaning it out is not an issue. I don't know why I wanted to mention that. It's just simply because it happens to me very often. And yes, if it rains then, the water might not drain out. Didn't happen to me, but I did get a wet blade when I got home and I said, what? I did wipe it off on my pants, but the drainage hole was clogged up. And I just held it under a tap until that mud dissolved and it was clean again, let it dry and no issues. I don't put oil or Vaseline or anything on these blades. I don't like to, I don't know why. All right, hope you enjoy the post-credit scene. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day.